Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to those of you who are watching this in a different time zone. Good afternoon to those of you who are watching it on the East Coast. I'm Mark Duncan. I am the Fund Coach, and this is another installment of Huddle Up with the Fund Coach. We are live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. And I should be able to see your comments in the chat. So please feel free to drop a comment if you have questions. I will take those as I see them or at the end. And I'm thrilled to be with you today. I'm always, coming out of that music is so much fun because it just is. You should see what I'm doing before the music ends, but you can't, and you probably never will, nor would you want to. Anyway, it's great to be with you. I want to talk with you today about something that has been top of mind for me this week, and I think it will be helpful for you. So, oftentimes, I am in conversations, and I was in a conversation with a fundraising leader or a nonprofit leader this week, and we're talking about making the ask, asking, for money, and they were sort of lamenting about, we've asked and we, for money, but we didn't get, uh, anything, or we didn't get what we hoped we were going to get from them. So they consider it sort of like a failure, to make that, to make that ask. And I'm going, okay, well, that happens sometimes, but now I'm starting to, question and drill down exactly, what happened. And so when I did that, I learned a lot about what could have been done differently. And that is what I'm here to talk with you about today. And the theme of today's Huddle Up session is you get what you ask for. You get what you ask for. So, what do I mean by that? The reasons why, when you make an ask and you don't get what you hoped you were going to get, um, are are threefold. Now, one of them is when you make what I call a blanket ask. So this is it's October, right? It's that time of year when we're trying to close out our fiscal year, if we do have a calendar fiscal year. And so usually when we're meeting with our board, we may make a blanket ask and we may say to them, well, it's that time of year. We hope that all of you will consider making a gift to support our year-end goal, and and that's really it, right? That's sort of the blanket ask. Or you may do it to a committee, or it may be at an event, right? A small event, and you're saying, we hope that you, find it in your heart to, to support our organization, before the end of the year. So that's a blanket ask, but it's not effective, right? Usually, what happens is not everybody gives, right? So if you were talking to them individually face to face, that would be different. But a blanket ask with a group, large or small, not everybody's going to give, right? That's the first thing. And if they do, the gift is going to be a fairly modest gift because there were really no parameters in a blanket ask, right? If it's a board, maybe the board knows that, okay, we're about $50,000 shy of our fundraising goal for this year. And so, they can certainly deduce on their own, how much it's going to take to close that gap. But it's important to verbalize it. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But if you make a blanket ask, you will get what you ask for, which is not going to be a lot. And a blanket ask really is not an effective ask at all. Okay. The second kind of ask is what I call a menu ask. So, a lot of times, whether it's for a capital campaign or it's for a an annual fund campaign, sometimes we have giving levels, right? Particularly if we have giving clubs, right? and we're asking people to join a giving club. And so sometimes when we're sitting in front of someone, and this is a one-on-one situation, we may open up a pamphlet or some document, or you may have something up on your screen that shows them all the different levels of giving, and you may lay out that menu and say something like, "Here are our giving levels, and we hope you will consider making a gift to support us this year." And we're considering that an ask, and that may be an ask by definition, but it is not an ask that's going to yield you what you believe you should get, especially if you're doing this with somebody that you know has significant capacity. This is somebody that, so a couple of weeks ago, I did a session on donor envy. So you may be in front of somebody that you know has given significantly to another organization. And so you figure you're going to take a shot, right? You're going to present this menu, and with hopes that they're going to give at that level. And when they don't, you're upset and you're wondering why. Um, and it's because you weren't clear. And we're going to talk about what that looks like. The third example of an ask that I often hear that's made is the whatever you can do ask, right? So this is when we're in front of somebody, again, somebody who may have significant capacity and is somebody who gives in a big way to other organizations, but we say to them, we really would love for you, or I would love for you to support our organization, and but love for you to join our or to support our organization, and then in any way that you can. You could give X amount, you may even give a dollar amount, or whatever you can do, right? And it's the or whatever you can do that completely derails your ability or your chances of getting a significant gift. Because the story you're telling to them, or what you're conveying to them, is, well, these guys aren't really that serious about raising the money that they claim they need to raise, or their goal is not as urgent. That sense of urgency isn't there. And so again, you will get what you ask for. And so it's really important to remember to avoid making a blanket ask, making the menu ask, or making the or whatever you can do ask. So how do you correct this? How do you make the ask so that you actually get what you should get, or what you believe you should get? Well, the first thing, and first and foremost, is you've got to stay focused on your mission. So sometimes when we're raising money for annual operations, we start spurring out the inside baseball stuff that's in our head, all the stuff that we live with as nonprofit leaders. The cost to keep the lights on, the cost to pay the electric bill, the cost to pay salaries, the cost to pay to upkeep the facility, or the cost for whatever that is. And we live with that because it is our reality, but it doesn't really tell the story about the mission when you're focusing on all of the things that need to happen to support the mission. And the story you need to tell is and should be focused on your mission and on the people being served by your mission. So I often hear, well, giving to annual fund, it's not sexy. It's not really compelling. What are we asking for? What you're asking for is the ability to do more, or to do what you do every single day for the people that you serve. So the people that you serve are benefiting from your mission. I don't care if it's your students, I don't care if it's people from the community, whoever it is that is benefiting from your services. They benefit from your services because you put a budget together that requires you to generate revenue, whether that's earned revenue or philanthropic revenue, to be able to effectively, you know, serve the people that you serve and fulfill your mission. And that's the story you have to tell. So stay focused on your mission. That's number one. Number two, be absolutely specific. And if that wasn't clear from the examples I gave before, I'm making it clear now. Be absolutely specific about what you're asking for. Be specific about the amount that you're asking for. If you believe the person in front of you has the capacity to give $5,000, then you need to ask them for $5,000, not whatever you can do, not a blanket ask, with them in a room filled with other people, and don't present them a menu. Look them in the eye and ask them for $5,000. Now, I know the thought of this for many is scary, it's uncomfortable, but you've got to get out of your own way because it's only uncomfortable for you. And it's uncomfortable for you for whatever reasons and for whatever relationship that you have with this whole idea of money. It could be getting in your way. And I've talked about this before, and I will continue to talk about this. Got to move that out of your way. I often talk about the golden rule versus the platinum rule. And this really comes into play here. So the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? That's the golden rule. But who's the focus on? Focus is on you, right? So I'm going to treat other people the way I want to be treated. The platinum rule is do unto others as they would have you do unto them. So now we've got to get out of our head and our, perspective and really imagine what the person sitting across from us wants to hear based on what we know about them. So we've got to get the stuff that lives in our head from our own life experiences, set that aside. And in that moment, think like that donor and make that ask because you know that they have the capacity to give at that level. And all you have to do is utter the number in order for you to get that gift. The third and final is you've got to be absolutely clear about what you're asking them to support. So if it is for the annual fund, by all means, again, tell that story about the annual fund and keep it focused on the mission. If it's for something specific, whether it's equipment or scholarships or a specific program or startup funds, tell the story about that and why you need those dollars and connect it back to the mission, connect it back to the people that you serve. If you do these three things every single time that you ask, I guarantee you will have way more, or you will have better results. You will have more success if you do those three things. Stay focused on your mission. Be very specific about how much you're asking for. And be specific and clear about what you're asking them to support. Stay away from the blanket asks. Stay away from the whatever you can do asks. And stay away from those menu asks. Okay? You do all these things, you will be very, very successful when you are having conversations with high net worth people. This is how it happens. It does not happen by osmosis. It does not happen by wishing it's going to happen. It only happens when you are sitting in front of someone, building a relationship, making the case, making the ask, and closing the deal. That is how you secure significant dollars for your organization so that you can do the good work that you do. Okay? So thank you for your time today, whether you watch this live or on the replay. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And as always, fundraising is never about the dollars. It is about what the dollars do. for the people that we serve.